One Muslim, one man, saved my life. I'm talking about a moment where everything I thought I knew about the world, about others, came crashing down. Prejudice is something we often grow up with, sometimes unknowingly, sometimes because of what we've been told or shown. We are shaped by the world around us, and unfortunately, many of us are taught to see people through lenses of judgment, stereotypes, and misconceptions. The root of prejudice lies in ignorance, not knowing the full story, not understanding the experiences, the struggles, and the humanity of others. Ignorance is a silent poison that spreads through societies, communities, and families. It shapes our perspectives in ways we don't always realize until we are confronted with the truth. When we don't take the time to learn about other cultures, religions, or ways of life, we allow ourselves to be swayed by the stories others tell us. The media, our social circles, and even our upbringing can distort the reality of who people truly are. When we rely on partial truths or misconceptions, we allow prejudice to take root in our hearts. We start to believe things that aren't true. We start to see people not for their individuality, but through the lens of a collective stereotype. This is where ignorance takes hold. It creates fear, anger, and division. It feeds on our insecurities and fills our minds with negative assumptions. When we're not exposed to diversity, when we don't interact with people who are different from us, it's easy to hold on to what we've been taught. We become comfortable in our ignorance, not realizing how harmful it is to both ourselves and others. The problem with prejudice is that it's self-perpetuating. Once we form a judgment, we tend to look for evidence that supports our belief, ignoring anything that contradicts it. This reinforces the idea that our assumptions are true, when in fact they are based on nothing more than fear and a lack of understanding. It's like looking at the world through a distorted lens and refusing to take it off. However, the moment we begin to open our eyes, to seek knowledge, and to engage with others who are different from us, we start to see things differently. The truth is, every person is an individual, shaped by their own experiences, values, and beliefs. The person we once saw through a narrow, prejudiced view is much more complex, much more human than the stereotype we once held. True understanding comes from being willing to listen, to learn, and to step outside of our comfort zones. It's about taking the time to break down the walls we've built in our minds and recognizing the common humanity we all share. It's about realizing that people are not defined by the labels we assign to them, but by their actions, their character, and their hearts. When we challenge our prejudices, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. We find that the fear we once had was based on nothing but a lack of understanding. We discover that the differences we thought divided us actually make us richer, more complex, and more beautiful. Ignorance may breed hate, but knowledge breeds connection, empathy, and growth. This process is not easy. It takes effort, it takes time, and it takes a willingness to confront the uncomfortable truths about ourselves. But when we do, when we allow ourselves to let go of the prejudice we've held on to for so long, we transform not only our own lives but the lives of those around us. At the end of the day, ignorance is a barrier we can choose to break down. It's a choice we make every time we open our minds to new perspectives, new experiences, and new people. We don't have to stay trapped in the cycles of prejudice. We can choose understanding, empathy, and love instead. The choice is ours. One act of compassion has the power to change everything. It can break down walls that have stood for years, tear apart the divisions that have been built by ignorance and fear, and heal wounds that seemed impossible to mend. Compassion is a force more powerful than we often give it credit for. It's not always about grand gestures or sweeping changes, but about the small, meaningful moments when someone reaches out to another in kindness, in understanding, or in love. These moments, though seemingly insignificant, can have a lasting impact that ripples through our lives and through the lives of those around us. We live in a world that's often quick to judge, quick to categorize, and quick to assume. People are labeled based on their religion, their race, their background, or their circumstances. We have all been guilty of making assumptions about others before truly getting to know them. We hold on to stereotypes and generalizations, thinking they define who someone is. But in truth, these assumptions are built on shaky ground. They are based on the surface-level characteristics that we think we understand, but they ignore the deeper, more complex reality of who a person truly is. And then, one act of compassion can change everything. When a person shows kindness or understanding, it cuts through the layers of judgment we've built. It opens up a door to a new perspective, to a new way of seeing the world. This one act, no matter how small it may seem in the moment, has the ability to completely shatter everything we thought we knew about someone or something. It challenges our preconceived notions, dismantles our biases, and forces us to confront the humanity that exists in all of us. When someone reaches out in a time of need, when they show up when they don't have to, when they offer help without expecting anything in return, it's a powerful thing. It's a reminder that, no matter what our differences may be, we are all human. And in that moment, when someone extends that hand of compassion, we realize that the divisions we've created are nothing compared to the bonds of kindness and care that can unite us. Compassion isn't about what we say, it's about what we do. It's not about preaching or pointing fingers or making promises. It's about action. It's about showing up for someone when they need you most, even when there's no reward for it, even when it might cost you something. It's about understanding that, in a world that often seems divided, we can bridge those gaps with love, respect, and empathy. The impact of that one act of compassion is often far greater than we realize. It doesn't just affect the person who receives it. It affects everyone who witnesses it, everyone who hears the story, everyone who feels the ripple effect. It has the power to change perceptions, to transform hearts, and to build a foundation of trust where there was once suspicion or hatred. And most importantly, it has the power to change the person who acts with compassion. It teaches them something about themselves, about their capacity for kindness, and about the world they live in. It shows them that one person truly can make a difference. We may never know the full extent of how our actions affect others, but one thing is certain: compassion is never wasted. The impact of a kind word, a thoughtful gesture, or a simple act of care can reach further than we ever imagine. It can transform lives, shift mindsets, and create a chain reaction of kindness that spreads across communities, nations, and even the world. In a world that often feels divided, we must remember that compassion is the bridge that connects us all. It is the force that can tear down the walls we've built around ourselves and create a future where understanding, love, and respect are the foundation of everything we do. It reminds us that no matter how far apart we may seem, we are all in this together, and it only takes one act to start making things right. One act of compassion can change the world. It's a reminder that, no matter where we come from, no matter what we've been taught, no matter the differences we hold, we are all capable of showing kindness, and that's the first step in creating a better world for us all. Islam, at its core, is a religion of mercy, compassion, and kindness. These are not just abstract ideals or lofty goals. They are principles that guide every aspect of a Muslim's life. From the teachings of the Prophet Muhammad but to the words of the Quran, mercy is the foundation upon which the faith stands. The very name of Islam itself is derived from the word salam, which means peace, highlighting the profound connection between peace and mercy. This understanding of mercy isn't just about offering forgiveness or love when it's easy or convenient. It's about extending compassion and care, even in the face of adversity, even when it's hardest to do so. This is the essence of Islam, a religion that calls on its followers to embody mercy in every action, every word, and every thought. The Quran reminds us time and again that Allah SWT is the most merciful, the most compassionate. In fact, the phrase "in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate," begins every chapter of the Quran, a constant reminder of the central role of mercy in the Muslim faith. It is through this mercy that Muslims are taught to live their lives, to treat others with kindness, to forgive, and to show empathy, no matter the situation. Mercy is not just an abstract quality, but a practical approach to life that affects how Muslims interact with everyone around them, regardless of their background, race, or religion. One of the most powerful aspects of Islam's emphasis on mercy is the way it teaches that saving a life is one of the greatest acts a person can do. The Quran states, "Whoever saves one life, it is as if he has saved all of humanity." Quran 5:32. This verse underscores the importance of preserving human life and the responsibility that Muslims carry to protect and care for others. It is an act of mercy not just toward those we love or those who are close to us, but toward all of humanity. It teaches that every life is valuable, and every person, regardless of who they are, deserves compassion and respect. This principle of mercy can be seen in countless acts of kindness and selflessness throughout Islamic history, where Muslims have gone out of their way to help others, often at great personal cost. But mercy in Islam doesn't end with just protecting life. It extends to every facet of life, from how Muslims treat their families, their neighbors, and their communities, to how they interact with the natural world. The Prophet Muhammad P. said, "Whoever is not merciful to others will not be shown mercy." This teaching serves as a reminder that mercy is a two-way street. To receive mercy, we must first be willing to extend it to others. This includes being merciful in our thoughts, in our judgments, in the way we speak to others, and in the way we respond to their needs. It's about seeing the humanity in others and choosing to act with kindness, even when it's difficult. Mercy also shows itself in the forgiveness Islam teaches. It encourages believers to forgive others, not just for the sake of the person who has wronged them, but for their own peace of mind and spiritual well-being. Forgiveness is a form of mercy that frees the soul from the burden of anger and resentment. The Prophet Muhammad P. himself was a model of mercy and forgiveness, even toward those who had wronged him, showing that mercy is not just for those we agree with, but also for those who may oppose or hurt us. When we look at the lives of Muslims, we can see mercy in action in so many different ways. From the daily acts of kindness that go unnoticed, such as helping a neighbor, feeding the hungry, or offering a listening ear, to the larger, more visible acts of charity and social justice. Muslims believe that every good deed, no matter how small, is an act of worship if done with the intention of pleasing Allah, and that includes acts of mercy. In a world that often seems divided, where misunderstandings and hatred can easily spread, the message of mercy in Islam serves as a powerful reminder of the common humanity we all share. Mercy doesn't require us to agree with or even understand everyone's beliefs or practices, but it calls on us to treat others with dignity, respect, and kindness. It challenges us to reach out to those who are suffering, to help those in need, and to act with patience and understanding in the face of adversity. The teachings of Islam remind us that mercy is not a one-time act. It is a way of life. It is about making the choice every day to approach others with compassion, to forgive when it's difficult, and to care for the well-being of all people. Through these acts of mercy, we build a world that reflects the beauty and kindness that Islam encourages. In the end, the true essence of Islam is not in grand gestures, but in the everyday moments where we choose to show mercy to those around us. It's a constant reminder that, through mercy, we can change the world, one kind act at a time. Compassion transcends all barriers. It doesn't care about the color of your skin, the language you speak, the country you come from, or the religion you practice. Compassion reaches past all the things that people often use to divide themselves and others. It is a universal force that connects us at our most basic level, the level of humanity. While the world may try to separate us into groups, to label us based on our differences, compassion sees beyond those labels. It sees the person, the heart, the soul, and it reminds us that, at our core, we are all the same. One of the most powerful aspects of compassion is its ability to break down walls of fear, walls of hatred, walls of misunderstanding. These walls are built over time through ignorance, through prejudice, and through misinformation. People grow afraid of what they don't know, and that fear creates a distance. It creates tension, mistrust, and often hostility. Compassion is the antidote to this poison. When we extend compassion to others, when we take the time to understand them, to listen to their stories, and to empathize with their struggles, we start to tear down those walls. We begin to bridge the divide. We begin to see each other as human beings with our own hopes, fears, dreams, and desires. Think about how many times in history compassion has bridged divides that seemed impossible to overcome. In times of war, natural disasters, or political unrest, people from different backgrounds and beliefs have come together because of compassion. During moments of great suffering, it's not the differences that matter, but the shared understanding of pain, loss, and hope. It's in those moments that we find the true power of compassion. It's in those moments that we realize the barriers we've built are fragile, and that, at the end of the day, we are all connected through our humanity. The most beautiful thing about compassion is that it doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require us to have everything figured out, to always say the right thing, or to act with complete selflessness all the time. Compassion is a choice. It's a choice to look beyond someone's exterior and see their heart. It's a choice to offer help, to lend a hand, to be there when someone is hurting. It's about recognizing that, no matter where someone comes from or what they believe, they deserve kindness, respect, and understanding. It's about extending the same grace to others that we hope to receive ourselves. Compassion is not always easy. It's not always comfortable. It can challenge our beliefs, our assumptions, and our way of life. But that's what makes it so powerful. When we allow ourselves to show compassion to those who are different from us, when we reach out to those who have been labeled as other, we create a space for growth, for understanding, and for connection. We begin to see the world through someone else's eyes, and in doing so, we expand our own understanding of humanity. Compassion also doesn't ask for recognition. It doesn't demand applause or accolades. It's often the quiet, unseen acts of compassion that make the biggest impact. It's the person who helps a stranger with their groceries without a second thought. It's the one who listens to a friend's pain without judgment. It's the neighbor who checks in on someone just to make sure they're okay. These are the acts that build a sense of community, of unity, and of shared responsibility. These are the acts that remind us that, regardless of what divides us, we are all human and we all need each other. We live in a world that's increasingly interconnected, but that interconnectedness can sometimes feel distant. Social media, technology, and global communication bring us closer together in ways we've never experienced before, but they can also make us feel isolated. In a world where it's easy to be disconnected, compassion has the power to make us feel more connected than ever. It has the power to reach across borders, across cultures, across ideologies, and remind us that we are all part of something bigger than ourselves. It's through compassion that we find the threads that connect us, even when we feel like we are worlds apart. In the end, compassion isn't about grand gestures or sweeping changes. It's about the everyday moments when we choose to be kind, to show empathy, and to treat others with dignity. It's about seeing past the surface, seeing beyond the differences, and recognizing the common humanity we all share. It's about acting with love and understanding, even when it's hard, even when it feels like the world is pushing us to do otherwise. Compassion transcends all barriers because it speaks a universal language, the language of the heart. And in a world that often feels divided, it is that language that has the power to bring us together. It's easy to judge others from a distance, to make assumptions about who they are and what they stand for without truly understanding them. In our everyday lives, it's tempting to label people based on what we see on the surface, their appearance, their background, their beliefs. We look at the world through our own lens, our own set of experiences, and sometimes, without even realizing it, we filter out the humanity of others. We forget that there is so much more to a person than the assumptions we make about them. But when we take the time to truly get to know someone, to see them not through the lens of judgment, but through the lens of understanding, that's when real connections happen. And it's in those connections that we find the true beauty of humanity. Judging from a distance comes with its own set of limitations. It's all too easy to assume that someone is a certain way based on stereotypes or biases. We hear something about a group of people, or we see a headline or a headline photo, and suddenly we think we know everything about them. It's as if we're standing on the outside looking in, and the distance between us makes it easy to see only what's presented, without the full context, without the depth, without the story behind it. But in truth, the distance between us doesn't give us a clearer picture. It distorts it. The further away we are from someone, the less we understand about their motivations, their struggles, their heart. To really understand someone, to see them for who they truly are, we have to move closer. We have to bridge the gap that distance creates, and this isn't just about physical proximity. It's about emotional proximity too. It's about being willing to step into someone else's world, to hear their story, to listen to their experiences. It's about putting aside our assumptions, our fears, and our biases, and opening ourselves up to the possibility that there is more to people than what we see on the surface. Only when we allow ourselves to be truly present with someone, to truly listen and understand them, can we see them as they truly are. Taking that step toward understanding isn't always easy. It requires vulnerability. It requires the willingness to admit that we don't know everything, and that maybe, just maybe, the assumptions we've carried for so long might be wrong. It requires humility and the courage to face our own biases, to confront the ways in which we've been conditioned to see the world. But that's where the magic happens. When we allow ourselves to move closer to someone, we realize that they are not just an idea or a stereotype. They are a person. They have hopes, dreams, fears, and challenges just like we do. They have their own unique story, their own unique perspective, and when we take the time to listen, we find that we are more alike than we are different. The connections we make when we move closer to others are often the most rewarding and the most meaningful. When we truly understand someone, when we can see past the surface and recognize their humanity, we begin to build a relationship based on mutual respect and empathy. It's in these moments of true connection that we break down the walls of misunderstanding and fear. We move from seeing someone as an other to seeing them as a fellow human being. And in those moments, we can build bridges of trust, compassion, and understanding. Moreover, the process of getting closer to someone and truly understanding them isn't just beneficial for the other person, it's transformational for us as well. It opens our eyes to the richness of the human experience. It challenges our own beliefs, our own assumptions, and pushes us to grow. When we allow ourselves to connect with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, and different walks of life, we expand our own understanding of the world. We become more open, more empathetic, and more capable of seeing the good in others. The distance we once held between ourselves and others becomes the very thing that keeps us isolated, while the closer we get to one another, the more we realize how interconnected we all are. This isn't to say that it's always easy or comfortable. Sometimes, the closer we get to someone, the more we confront our own prejudices, our own insecurities, and our own fears. But this is the process of growth. This is the process of breaking down the barriers that separate us and building the kind of world where understanding and compassion rule the day. It's about recognizing that when we step closer to another person, we not only change their life, but our own as well. At the end of the day, we are all more alike than we are different. The more we move toward one another with open hearts, the more we begin to realize that the things that divide us are small compared to the bonds that unite us. So, let's step out of the distance, let's stop judging from afar, and let's get closer to one another, because only then will we see the truth of who people really are. Only then will we begin to build the connections that can heal the divisions in our world. We all have a tendency to categorize people, to group them into neat little boxes based on their appearance, their nationality, their religion, or their social status. It's easier that way, it's comfortable. It saves us from having to truly think critically about the world and the people in it. But in doing so, we fail to see the complexity of human beings, the richness of their lives, and the depth of their experiences. We reduce them to labels and stereotypes, and in doing so, we miss out on the true potential for connection, for understanding, and for compassion. The truth is that every person has a story, a journey, a unique perspective that shapes who they are. And when we take the time to really listen to those stories, when we open ourselves up to the depth of another person's life, we begin to realize that our preconceived notions have been nothing more than barriers that keep us from seeing the beauty of their humanity. The danger of labeling people is that it not only distorts the way we view them, but it also distorts the way we interact with them. If we go into a situation already assuming we know everything about a person based on their background or their appearance, we close ourselves off to the possibility of understanding them as they truly are. We limit ourselves to a narrow view of the world and miss out on the richness that comes with diversity, with different experiences, and with different perspectives. The power of human connection lies in our ability to see past those labels, to reach beyond the surface and engage with the real person in front of us. It's in those moments that we truly begin to understand the vastness of the human experience and the beauty of the lives that surround us. Every person is a complex web of experiences, beliefs, hopes, and fears. They are shaped by their past, by their struggles, by their triumphs, and by the people who have crossed their path. But when we rely on stereotypes, we miss the opportunity to learn about those things. We don't get the chance to hear their stories, to understand the challenges they've faced, or to see the world through their eyes. We take away their individuality and reduce them to a single trait or characteristic. And in doing so, we rob ourselves of the opportunity to connect with someone on a deeper level. Think about the times in your life when you've truly connected with someone, the moments when you've shared a laugh, a tear, a story that has brought you closer. These are the moments when you've seen past the labels, past the assumptions, and you've engaged with the person, not the stereotype. You've listened to their story, you've allowed yourself to be vulnerable, and you've allowed them the space to be vulnerable as well. In those moments, the walls come down, the barriers dissolve, and you realize that the differences between you are not as significant as the things that bind you together. The human experience is not defined by labels. It's defined by our shared humanity, our shared struggles, and our shared hopes for the future. There is immense power in seeing people for who they truly are. When we look beyond the labels, we begin to see the person underneath, the one who has dreams, desires, fears, and a unique perspective on the world. We start to realize that, despite our differences, we are more alike than we are different. We all want to be seen, heard, and understood. We all want to feel like we matter. And when we take the time to understand another person, to see them for who they really are, we begin to build a bridge between us. We create a space for empathy, for compassion, and for genuine connection. It's not always easy to let go of our preconceived notions. It's difficult to challenge the beliefs we've held on to for so long, to let go of the comfort of the labels that make the world easier to navigate. But it's in those moments of discomfort that growth happens. When we push past the labels and allow ourselves to connect with someone as an individual, we grow as people. We expand our understanding of the world, and we begin to see that the things that make us different are also the things that make us special. They are the things that make the human experience so rich, so diverse, and so beautiful. We all have the power to change the way we see others, and in doing so, we have the power to change the way we interact with the world. By letting go of the labels, by seeing the person beneath, we open ourselves up to the possibility of real connection, real understanding, and real compassion. And when we make that shift, we not only change the way we see others, but we also change the way we see ourselves and the world around us. It's a reminder that the power to create meaningful connections, to break down barriers, and to build a better, more compassionate world is in our hands. We just have to choose to see beyond the labels,